when we are about to do something great and we don't know what the way is going to be like, when we surrender to the Lord and pray to them to help us through our challenges, Bhagavan has given us his assurance that he will come back time after time. We have all heard this phrase, might is right. But is that always the case? Is it always that the most muscular sportsperson wins the race? Is it always the case that the strongest army wins the battle? And even if it wins the battle, does it always win the war? When we apply our mind, we learn that strength alone is not enough. It's how you use that strength that matters. We have learnt about Hanumanji's many strengths. Jnana Guna Sagar, Vidyavan, Guni, Ati Chatur. Today, we will learn about how Hanumanji applies these strengths.
Sukshma Rupa Dhari Siyahi Dikhava, Vikata Rupa Dhari Lanka Jarava, Bhima Rupa Dhari Asura Samhare, Ramachandra Ke Kaj Savare.
Taking subtle, small form, you appeared in front of Sita ji. Taking a large, menacing form, you burnt Lanka to ashes. Taking the strongest form you had, you destroyed the Asuras, all whilst doing Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra's work. These verses apply beautifully to when Hanumanji first went to Lanka. In the last video, we saw how Hanumanji crossed the ocean. Now, he didn't just cross the physical ocean, but the ocean here is a metaphor for us achieving a great goal. And whilst achieving that great goal, Hanumanji overcame 3 barriers that usually stop us from achieving our goals. And if you want to learn about them, click on the link in the description below. Having crossed the ocean, Hanumanji landed in Lanka, but he didn't even know what Sitama looked like. He didn't know what was beyond the walls around Lanka. He didn't know how he would get there. And so Hanumanji, with all of his strength and all of his intelligence in Lanka, started the journey with a prayer. Namostu Ramaya Salakshmanaya Devyai cha tasye Janakatmajaye Namostu Rudrendra Yamanilebhyo Namostu Chandrarka Marut Gadebhyah. This beautiful prayer captures Hanumanji's inner state of devotion and surrender. Before starting this uncertain task, he prays for strength to Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra, who is with Lakshmana. Namostu Ramaya Salakshmanaya. He then doesn't take the liberty of taking Sitama's name, but addresses her as Devyai cha tasye Janakatmajaye. He continues, Namostu, I salute Rudrendra, Shiva and Indra, Yama Nilebhyo, Yama and Anil, who is the wind deity, Vayu. Namostu Chandrarka, I bow down to the moon deity, and also Marut Ganebhya, the attendants of the Prana Shakti as well as the attendants of Shiva. In this way, he invoked all of the divine powers that he could before he set out. And I'll tell you, in my spiritual journey, this was one of the first mantras that I learnt that still sits with me today. When we are about to do something great and we don't know what the way is going to be like, we don't even know if the outcome is certain, this is a prayer that we can all pray. So I encourage you, listen back to this section. Learn this prayer. It will serve you for the rest of your life. Having empowered himself with this prayer, Hanumanji started searching in Lanka. At first, he was awed by the wealth and splendor of Lanka. He saw Ravan sleeping in his chamber, and he saw the marks of someone who had done tapasya, and he wished that instead of going down the wrong path, Ravan had surrendered to Bhagavan Sri Ram instead. In his search, he found the many queens of Ravan, including Ravan's chief queen Mandodari, who was an extremely pious lady in and of herself. He saw her sleeping comfortably in the palace and knew that pious as she may be, she can't be Sita, because Sita would not be sleeping comfortably when separated from Bhagavan Sri Ram. He searched and eventually came to the home of Vibhishan, who was Ravan's brother. Through meeting Vibhishan, he learned that Sitama was in Ashok Vatika, which was a garden adjoining Ravan's palace. This meeting of Hanumanji and Vibhishan is a beautiful episode in itself, which we will learn in the future. But when he saw Sitama in the Ashok Vatika, Hanumanji's behavior was amazing. He first stayed there and watched what was happening. He saw how Sitama was being guarded. He saw how Ravan approached her and beseeched her to be his wife. But Sitama never left her resolve and never left mentally the side of Bhagavan Sri Ram. Seeing this, Hanumanji knew that she was Sitama. But once Ravan had left Ashok Vatika, how would he reveal himself to her? What if she thought that Hanuman was a spy of Ravan? And so he sat there on a branch above Sita ji and started to softly sing the glories of Bhagavan Sri Ram. He sang of how Bhagavan Sri Ram was born in Ayodhya, how he was sent into exile, how his wife was kidnapped. But then to reassure Sitama, he also sang of how Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra met Sugriv, how he met Hanuman, how groups were traveling across the earth to find Sitama. And thus Sitama, hearing all of this, looked up and saw a small monkey. Looking at him, she trusted that Hanumanji had come from Sri Ramachandra. And there she herself recounted the many pastimes that Bhagavan Sri Ram and she had enjoyed in the forest in the company of Lakshman. And so, in this meeting, we have a beautiful summary of the Ramayana itself up until this point. Thus, having earned her trust, Hanumanji leapt down with his palms touching, hands over his head. He bowed down to Sitama and introduced himself. And he gave her the signet of Bhagavan Sri Ram that he had carried as a symbol of hope. He assured Sitama that Bhagavan Ramchandra is looking for her and will soon come and rescue her from Lanka. Having thus reassured Sitama, Hanumanji took leave. But didn't leave immediately. He sat on the walls of Ashoka and wondered, how can I teach this Ravan a lesson? And so, having shown Sitama his Sukshma Roop, Hanumanji then took on his Vikata Roop, his terrible form. And in that terrible form, he destroyed Ashok this garden that Ravan had built. And Ravan, hearing of this, sent his army and his generals to capture Hanumanji, but Hanumanji destroyed them all. Ravan then sent his son, Aksh, whose name means the indestructible one, but Hanumanji sent him back to Yama's abode. Then finally Ravan sent his oldest son, Indrajit, who was an accomplished warrior in his own right. Indrajit hurled Brahmastra at Hanumanji. But Hanumanji also had a boon from Brahma, who gave the Brahmastra that if ever Hanumanji was attacked by the Brahmastra, could bind him only for 12 minutes. Thus, bound by the Brahmastra, Hanumanji knew he just had to pretend until the time was right. Hanumanji, we already know, is a Jnana Guna Sagar. So he knew how to use his intelligence in the court. In the court, he didn't say, "Hey, Ravan, you're going to be destroyed by Sri Ramachandra." No. He addressed Ravan with respect because Ravan was a king. And he didn't say, "I am a Ramadut, I am a messenger of Sri Ramachandra," because at that point Sri Ramachandra was not a king. Ravan would not have respected him as a result. So he said, "I am a messenger of Sugriv, who is also a king of Kishkinda. And as a fellow king, he sends me to you, O Ravan, in order to tell you to give up Sitama and seek Bhagavan Ramachandra's forgiveness. If you do this, your life will be spared." He then goes on to instruct Ravan that capturing someone else's wife will bring bad karma and destruction upon Lanka. But one whose mind is set to destruction will never listen. And Ravan asked for Hanumanji's tail to be tied in cloth and dipped in oil and set on fire. And thus set on fire, Hanumanji was paraded through all the streets of Lanka. Sometimes people who are on the evil path do very, very foolish things. In parading Hanumanji through Lanka, Hanumanji learned all of the routes inside the city of Lanka. He also saw who were the citizens who were coming out of their house laughing at Hanumanji and praising Ravan. Having seen this whole scene and made a mental map of Lanka, Hanumanji realized that the tail that was on fire was not harming him. This was because Sitama had prayed to Agni Devta that he is not to be harmed. And so Hanumanji, realizing that the fire is not going to harm him, decided to let go of the Brahmastra and jumped up. And in this great form, he burnt Lanka to ashes. He went door to door, recognizing the Rakshasas who had laughed at him and destroyed their home. The only thing that was left was Ravan's palace and the tree in Ashokvartika under which Sitama was there. After he had burnt the city, he decided to attack even further and destroy Lanka psychologically. Do you want to know how? He sat on the walls and he loudly proclaimed, "O citizens of Lanka, I am a messenger of Bhagavan Sri Ram, and if you are scared of me, there are many who are even stronger than me. They are going to come and destroy Lanka." Hearing this, the citizens of Lanka were just completely destroyed. After doing this, he went back to Sitama, sought his permission, and flew back over the ocean. One might say, how did Hanumanji get such intelligence? How did he know exactly what to say and how to act? Well, the answer is clear. Ramachandra ke kaj savare. Hanumanji was not motivated by a selfish pleasure. He was motivated purely by the service of Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra. When we surrender to the Lord and pray to them to help us through our challenges, Bhagavan has given us his assurance that he will come back time after time. And so, as bhaktas, our duty is not to act for our own greatness, but to act in service of the Lord of our hearts. And we learn this from Hanumanji, who is a Ramadut, who is a messenger of the light in all of our hearts. To see how Hanumanji serves Bhagavan, especially in moments of crisis, you're going to have to join us in our next video. And if you want to be notified of the next video, make sure that you subscribe. I am sure that you too have been inspired by this incredible episode in the Ramayana where Hanumanji executes Bhagavan's work to perfection. And if you've been inspired, then make sure that you're sharing this inspiration with others. Share it with those whom you might think would benefit from this video. My name is Dhumatkar. Thank you for joining us for yet another video on the Hanuman Chalisa. I will see you again very, very, very soon with more wisdom from the Hindu scriptures. Namaste.
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai